Good to be in the room one more time, as my grandmother used to say. So today, I'd love for us to take some time to explore social identity, justice, and think about how do we really create culturally sustaining ministries to help ourselves and also our communities continue to grow. So I'm going to share my screen and my sound. And bring this up. Okay, there we go. Okay, just give me a heart emoji or a thumbs up emoji just to let me know you can see that presentation. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. So, for today, I'd love for us to think about again having some conversations around identity, justice, power, privilege, and to think about like how do we make our ministry spaces more inclusive, inviting from a justice-based lens. As an educator, I'm all about giving us tools to put in the toolkit. And so I invite you to think about, which of these that you can possibly integrate more immediately, and also to think through like, what do I just need to save this information in a safe place until I can more develop more time and capacity around it. Um, it it is always my goal again to give you tools to put into the toolkit. And part of what that means is you don't have to do everything all at once. I know sometimes that is like, oh, okay, I've learned all this great information. I'm just gonna put it all into practice all at once. Don't feel like you have to do that. Rather, you can incorporate these learnings as you see fit in your context because your context will be a little bit different from others. And so again, the goal is to add some things to your toolkit. And so in this, I love to ground us in this wonderful phrase that comes from Dr. Daniel Tatum, who's an amazing educator, and the former president of Spelman College, down in Atlanta, Georgia. And so hear her words. Who am I? The answer depends in a large part of who the world around me says I am. Who do my parents say I am? Who do my peers say I am? What message is reflected back to me in the faces and voices of my teachers, my neighbors, and even the store clerks? What do I learn from the media about myself? How am I represented in the cultural images around me? Or am I missing from the picture altogether? Integrating one past and present and future into a cohesive, unified sense of self is a complex task that begins in adolescence and continues for a lifetime. And so here, Dr. Tatum invites us to think through all of who we are, all of who the world says we are, and also all of who the media, our community members, our children, our young adults, all of that, who they say we are. And how does that come into play maybe differently than who we imagine ourselves to be? Or maybe it's the same. Or maybe there's some differences in there we love to explore. So in today's session, I love for you to keep that kind of in your heart as we think about the dimensions of who we are and how those dimensions show up in our ministry spaces and how we invite others, our youth, our children, our families, other community members, to also think about the elements and identities that they share with us or might be different to us. And how do we invite all of those identities in? And so to get us started, I'd love for us to think about not only identities, but what is culture? So, how would you define culture? And what does culture mean to you? And you can feel free to drop it in chat or come off of mute and share.
Hi, Terrence. I think for me, culture is about shared beliefs and my values that I share with my people.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, love that. Love that. And I also say, as the educator in me, there are no wrong answers. Yes. I see Debbie wrote in the chat, the people and practices that form us from the moment we are born. Yes, I love that. Tracy says common understanding, symbols, practices, food, celebration. Yes, we need joy. We need all the joys. Okay. Histories, relationships with specific lands that form over time and generations, right? Linking us to the past, the present, and the future, knowing that we are all connected. I love that. Spencer says, I think of culture and the colors, flavors. Ooh, I love this, Spencer. Textures, sounds, and sights of life that shape who we are and how we live. Ooh, such robust answers. I love it. I love it. Yes. So culture is all of that and then some. I always say it is the spice, the flavor, the contextual understandings of how we do what we do and who we are, right? It is the thing that makes up not only us as individuals, but links us, right, to those around us. And so culture is like shared beliefs, values, practices, a group of people that shape how they act, they think, they behave, they believe, right? And hopefully, as we think about culturally sustaining practices or approaches, we start to really think about what are the human development parts of that, right? What parts of our culture shape how our young people perceive themselves, perceive their communities, and how do their identities play a part in how culture shapes them and also how they shape culture? Because we know it is a two-way process, right? And so, how does that look? And also, how do we recognize, celebrate the multiple cultures that might be in our faith communities and know that they are seen and they are valued and invite them in to be fully explored and expressed? Like I said, there's Dr. Tatum in all her glory. And so I just kind of shared her phrase from there about who am I, talking about identity. And so next we started to talk about like define what is culture, as you so beautifully orchestrated and shared. And then next, we started to go in, actually continue to define what culture is. And again, part of not only identifying culture is also like thinking about how we sustain culture and the multiple cultures in our faith communities and recognize that we have different cultures, right? And see those different cultures as assets, as a way to make sure we're holistically supporting young people. Part of this also conversation is all around identities, right? And social identities make up so many parts of who we are in the world. And um, they also help us to kind of name parts of who we are. And so, as you are reflecting on our conversations today, they will be grounded in social identities and also culture, right? And I'll, again, similar to yesterday, I will make sure to share both of the slide decks with you all so you have this